It's no secret that kids don't want to do their schoolwork, but in today's educational environment, it's harder than ever to get them to do it. There are no shared expectations for what an educated person should know. Even the idea that going to college is the end goal of the educated student has been lost to the apparent irrelevance of a college education. You don't want to have to push your child, or maybe yourself, to do their work all the time. You'd like them to be independent. Maybe you aren't sure how, or even if they can learn to work without you. Before your child can function on their own, they'll need someone to show them how to minimize the pain of getting through hard tasks. You may have a lot of experience with getting through, but you may have no idea how to help them become independent other than yelling at them to just do it. This course provides principles for how to think about the way we learn math, reading and writing, foreign languages, and the arts. By applying these principles, we can begin to wean our children, or ourselves, off of the whining inertia train. You may have to put forth some effort on the front end, but you'll be investing in their independence so that they'll have to rely less and less on you to get their work done. Why should I do my work? I'm currently taking an online course on Facebook advertising right now. The people who succeed in this course go on to make a lot of money using low-cost ads to reach lots of people. The course is complicated because Facebook advertising is complicated. It requires more from me than just the ability to watch a video. I have to take in and assess the information I'm getting. What do I know? What do I need to know? What do I think I know that I actually don't know? Do the assignments without direct supervision and figure out if I'm doing them correctly. Take the things I've learned and apply them, then get better at understanding the results. I'm able to navigate this course because I have a certain amount of discipline. I know how to learn. I know how to manage my expectations and feelings. I know my strengths and weaknesses as a learner, and can figure out when and how to get help. School, for all its flaws, puts students in a situation where they have to succeed at learning in less than ideal circumstances. This is life, and if they don't figure out how to navigate it now, the stakes will be much higher later. The good news is that if your child can be convinced to make an effort to learn a subject they don't care about, they will gain greatly when they have to learn something they do care about. But school isn't teaching these skills. They have to be developed separately, either on one's own or with the help of a coach. I'm that coach. Some general principles for working with your child. Yelling doesn't work. Say what you have to say in a quiet voice, preferably in a single sentence. If they're overpowering you, that's probably a sign that they are overloaded, and your message wouldn't get through if you used a bullhorn. Drop it and come back to it. Yelling should only be done in a danger situation, and should last only as long as the danger lasts. If you need to express anger, do it as quickly and quietly as possible. Of course, when you're angry, you're at your most careless. You most likely will yell, and I'm not suggesting this can always be avoided, only that it's the least likely to communicate the actual message you're trying to convey. More likely, it will convey a different message. What is the priority? Getting the work done is the first priority. Getting it done according to instructions is the second priority. Getting it done well is the last priority. While all of these things are important, it's helpful to exercise some kind of triage here because if the first condition is met, you can then move to the second one, whereas trying for a great work at the beginning may be a non-starter. Yes, shoot for all three, but use this sequence to create doable steps, and when you meet resistance, you can retreat to the lower priority. Have an honest conversation. Schoolwork may be difficult, boring, and confusing. Admitting this to the student may seem like giving up power, but they already know, and having an honest conversation provides solid ground to stand on. Coming from a place of responsibility, accountability, and recognition of the need to do tedious things sometimes can lead to suggestions that the tedium may have unforeseen rewards, scholarships, recognition, pathways to better learning, or just getting it done fast so you can have free time. Getting math done. The chief difficulty with math is understanding what you are being asked to do. Getting in the way of that are vocabulary, concepts, notation. These three things pack a whammy and really interfere with the math challenged. Breaking up the task of understanding and explaining each of these, especially with a short-fused teenager, is challenging to say the least. Once you know what you're being asked to do, then you can learn the method you've been given to do it. Trying to work through a method without understanding it will usually lead to frustration and a wrong answer. You don't have to understand the way a math teacher does, but having a general sense of what you're trying to do and being able to express it in simple language makes a big difference. Math will be covered in depth in the math portion of the course. Getting reading done. The chief difficulty with reading is getting the big picture. A lot of hard books can be broken down into big ideas with smaller ideas in them. The same is true of poetry, although poetry is usually much more compact. It's really helpful to lower the expectation for first read-through. Rather than expecting someone to get all the concepts in the first go-round, create an expectation where the first read is just a see-what-you-notice read. Relaxed eyes. Then go back and reread, striving for better understanding each time. Hard to get your student to read more than once? Even once? Explain the strategy first. No judgment, just look it over and see what you remember. That makes the second go-round easier because the eyes are familiar with the words. There are never any guarantees when trying to get someone to read, but this strategy maximizes your chances. Writing is also done with big picture ideas. Write a first draft that no one will read besides you. Out of that mess, see if there's anything usable in it. Even if it's just one sentence, that's a powerful start. Reading and writing will be covered in depth in the reading portion of this course. Learning another language. The chief difficulty with learning a foreign language study is knowing the difference between studying a language and learning to speak a language. Rarely does anyone learn to speak a language in school, so really what we're doing is language study, and that means a math-type situation. Once you understand this reality, you and your student should figure out what you're being asked to do in a particular assignment, then learn or determine the most effective method for doing it. Unlike math, there may be many ways to solve the problem. How can I memorize these 20 words? And you can and should even invent your own solutions. Like math, we're dealing with vocabulary, concepts, and notation. Learning a language will be covered in depth in the Learning Another Language portion of the course. What about the arts? Not too many people fret about students' inability to do music, art, or sports, at least not in the same way. These areas are often seen as something that a person simply can or can't do, a question of talent. As a music teacher who has brought many beginners of all sorts to playing proficiency, I can testify that talent is only an advantage and not a deciding factor. As it turns out, a lot of students who have trouble with their schoolwork are better at the arts or sports. They would prefer to be spending all their time doing that instead of the subjects that cause them trouble. This situation actually provides parents with an opportunity. The same techniques that we use to learn math, language, and reading can be found in the fine and physical arts, only in a different disguise. If your child is a much better arts or sports learner than a math learner, turn the question around. If they can discover why they are successful in one subject, they can move that success to another area. We'll cover this topic in the music, arts, dance, and sports portion of the course.